The Canadian sky, vast and open, tells a different story when it comes to air travel. While the skies may seem limitless, the reality on the ground is quite different. A small group of airlines dominates the industry, creating a landscape where competition is scarce. This limited competition casts a long shadow on ticket prices and the quality of service passengers receive. High prices and inconsistent service are common complaints among travelers. This video delves into the dynamics of the Canadian airline market, with a focus on Air Canada's influential role. As the largest airline in the country, Air Canada sets many of the standards that others follow. We'll examine how their dominance affects consumers and explore potential solutions for a more competitive and passenger-friendly industry. The goal is to understand the current challenges and identify ways to improve the experience for all travelers. The Canadian airline industry is not a level playing field. Smaller airlines find it difficult to compete against the giants. Air Canada, a legacy carrier, holds significant sway. Its extensive network and resources make it a formidable player. Its size and market share give it considerable influence over pricing and service standards. This often leaves little room for smaller competitors to thrive. This dominance has real-world consequences for travelers, often leaving them with limited choices and inflated fares. The lack of options can be frustrating, especially during peak travel times. Smaller, regional airlines struggle to survive in this environment. They often can't match the prices or the range of services offered by larger carriers. The lack of robust competition stifles innovation and limits options for consumers. Without the pressure to innovate, service quality can stagnate. Passengers often find themselves at the mercy of a few major players, with little recourse for poor service or unreasonable costs. This can lead to a frustrating travel experience. This video will analyze the complexities of this market structure. We'll look at the historical context and current trends shaping the industry. We'll dissect the factors contributing to high airfares and examine the impact on travelers. Understanding these elements is crucial for proposing effective solutions. By understanding the root causes, we can explore potential solutions to create a more balanced and competitive airline industry in Canada. The aim is to foster an environment where competition thrives, benefiting all passengers. Alongside Air Canada, WestJet also plays a significant role in shaping the airline landscape in Canada. As a major player, WestJet's strategies and policies also impact pricing and service quality across the industry.
Air Canada's position in the Canadian airline industry is one of undeniable influence. As the country's largest airline, its decisions reverberate throughout the market, impacting competitors and consumers alike. This dominance stems from several factors, including its extensive network, brand recognition, and historical advantage as the former national carrier. Air Canada's vast route network provides comprehensive coverage across Canada and numerous international destinations. This extensive reach makes it a convenient choice for travelers, but it also limits the ability of smaller airlines like Porter and Flair to compete on popular routes. The lack of viable alternatives often translates to higher fares for passengers. Furthermore, Air Canada benefits from strong brand recognition and customer loyalty built over decades of operation. This familiarity and trust make it a default choice for many travelers, particularly business travelers who value reliability and consistent service. However, this dominance has its downsides. With limited competition, Air Canada has less incentive to offer competitive prices or invest in service enhancements. This can lead to a stagnation in innovation and a lack of passenger-centric initiatives. The result is a market where consumers often feel underserved and overcharged.
Air Canada recently introduced several policy changes, particularly around baggage fees, sparking criticism from both consumers and industry experts. These adjustments align with a broader trend in the airline industry, where carriers are increasingly relying on ancillary fees to boost revenue. These changes, often framed as cost-saving measures, have significant implications for passengers and the competitive landscape. For many travelers, the additional fees can be a source of frustration and confusion, especially when they are not clearly communicated at the time of booking. One of the most impactful changes has been the introduction of stricter carry-on baggage policies and the unbundling of baggage fees from base fares. This means that passengers now have to pay extra for services that were previously included in the ticket price, such as bringing a carry-on bag. This move, while aligning Air Canada with the practices of many international airlines, has resulted in additional costs for passengers who previously enjoyed the convenience of including a carry-on bag in their ticket price. The new policy requires passengers to pay a fee for any bag larger than a small personal item, which can add up quickly for those traveling with multiple bags. Starting January 2025, Air Canada plans to change its basic fare policy. Passengers on this fare will only be allowed a small personal item as a carry-on. Larger carry-on bags will need to be checked for $35 to $65 depending on the stage of check-in. These changes could impact customer experience by making budget travel less accessible. This change has faced pushback from travelers who see it as diminishing value while adding extra costs. Many passengers feel they're being subjected to unnecessary charges, leading to a drop in overall customer satisfaction. Critics argue that these fees disproportionately affect budget-conscious travelers and families, making air travel less accessible. For those who are already stretching their budgets to afford a trip, these additional costs can be a significant burden. Moreover, the unbundling of baggage fees has made it more challenging for consumers to compare fares accurately. The base price may appear lower, but the added cost of baggage can quickly inflate the overall expense, making it difficult for travelers to find the best deal. The base price may appear lower, but the added cost of baggage can quickly inflate the overall expense. This lack of transparency raises concerns about price obfuscation and the potential for misleading advertising, as travelers may not realize the true cost of their trip until it is too late. This lack of transparency raises concerns about price obfuscation and the potential for misleading advertising. Airlines need to be more upfront about the total cost of travel to maintain consumer trust and avoid backlash. The long-term impact of these policy changes on Air Canada's market position remains to be seen. While the airline may benefit from increased ancillary revenue in the short term, the potential for customer dissatisfaction and erosion of brand loyalty cannot be ignored. While the airline may benefit from increased ancillary revenue in the short term, the potential for customer dissatisfaction and erosion of brand loyalty cannot be ignored. It will be interesting to see how Air Canada navigates these challenges and whether they will make adjustments to their policies in response to customer feedback.
While airline pricing strategies play a significant role in determining airfares, airport charges and fees represent a substantial portion of the overall cost of air travel. These charges are not just minor add-ons, they can significantly influence the final price of a ticket, affecting both domestic and international flights. These charges, often passed on to consumers through various fees, can have a considerable impact on ticket prices, particularly in Canada, where airport fees are among the highest in the world. This means that travelers in Canada often face higher costs compared to those in other countries, making air travel less accessible for many. Airport charges encompass a wide range of services and infrastructure, including landing fees, terminal rentals, air traffic control, and security measures. Each of these components is essential for the safe and efficient operation of airports, but they come at a cost that is ultimately borne by the passengers. These costs are typically borne by airlines, which then pass them on to passengers through various surcharges and fees added to the base fare. This practice is common across the industry, but the extent of these charges can vary significantly from one country to another. In Canada, the structure of airport charges has been a subject of debate, with some arguing that the current system lacks transparency and contributes to inflated airfares. Critics suggest that more clarity is needed to understand how these fees are calculated and justified. The high cost of operating in certain Canadian airports, particularly major hubs, puts upward pressure on airfares, making air travel less affordable for consumers. This is especially true for flights originating from or connecting through major cities like Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal. Furthermore, the lack of competition among airports, particularly in smaller cities, limits the incentive to lower charges or improve efficiency. In these regions, passengers often have fewer choices and must bear the brunt of higher fees. This lack of competitive pressure can result in higher costs being passed on to airlines and ultimately to passengers. Without the push to innovate or reduce costs, airports may continue to operate inefficiently, further exacerbating the issue. Addressing the issue of high airport charges is crucial for creating a more competitive airline industry in Canada. By tackling these high costs, the industry can work towards making air travel more affordable and accessible for everyone. Reforms aimed at increasing transparency, promoting competition, and incentivizing efficiency could help reduce the burden of airport charges on airlines and make air travel more accessible for Canadians. Such measures could include regulatory changes, better oversight, and encouraging new entrants into the market to foster a more dynamic and competitive environment.
The current trends in airline pricing show a significant fluctuation due to various factors such as fuel costs and regulatory changes. Meanwhile, Canadian consumers are increasingly turning to cross-border airports in the US for cheaper flights. Despite some regional airline growth, industry experts say that without regulatory changes, the high-cost trend will continue. Moreover, customer complaints about service quality, like flight delays and limited in-flight amenities, are on the rise, exacerbating frustrations.
As a frequent traveller, we have noticed that high fares are often not justified by the level of service provided. To help you compare the price differences, here's a concise summary of average domestic air ticket prices in US dollars for Canada, the United States, Europe, and Southeast Asia. Canada. Domestic flights are the most expensive, with an average cost of $275 to $350 for a one-way ticket. Limited competition and high airport fees are key factors driving these costs. United States domestic ticket prices are more affordable due to strong competition, averaging around $150 to $200 for a one-way trip on major airlines. Budget carriers like Southwest and Spirit Airlines offer fares as low as $50 to $100 depending on the route. Europe. Thanks to low-cost carriers like Ryanair and EasyJet, domestic flights can be very cheap, often costing $20 to $70 for a one-way trip. Prices may vary slightly based on seasonal demand. Southeast Asia. Domestic flight prices are also highly economical, typically ranging from $25 to $50 on budget airlines like AirAsia and Lion Air. Promotional deals can make prices even lower for some short routes. These price variations highlight stark regional differences influenced by market competition, geographic conditions, and operational costs. While Europe and Southeast Asia excel in affordability, Canada remains the costliest market for domestic air travel.
To create a more balanced airline market, several actions need consideration. These monopolistic practices shape the consumer experience in critical ways. For budget-conscious travelers, high prices make flying a luxury rather than a necessity. Service quality often doesn't justify the steep costs, leaving passengers dissatisfied. What can be done? Analysts propose several strategies to address high airfares. Encourage foreign carriers. Open domestic markets to more international airlines to boost competition. Support new entrants. Provide incentives for low-cost carriers to enter the market and expand their operations. Lower operating costs for airlines, reduce airport fees. Lower airport fees, often passed on to passengers through government subsidies or fee reductions. Streamline regulations. Simplify compliance requirements to cut administrative costs for airlines. Promote fuel efficiency. Encourage investment in fuel-efficient aircraft to reduce long-term operational expenses.
The future of Canadian aviation depends on the collective efforts of regulators, airlines, and consumers. By addressing current challenges and seizing opportunities for growth, a new course can be charted to benefit everyone. It's time to rethink strategies and work towards a more sustainable and customer-friendly aviation sector. Thank you for watching and diving into the factors behind Canada's high domestic airfares. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others who might benefit from these insights. For more engaging content on travel trends, industry insights, and practical tips to enhance your journeys, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. We've got plenty of related videos on travel topics waiting for you. Click on one of the suggestions on your screen to keep exploring. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Safe travels.